and dead bodies through that system. And so there are so many politicians who are simply puppets introducing and saying what they're told to say, because if they don't, our little secret will come out. And if people go to my website, they'll see that there's a link there to an article which is naming the current British Prime Minister Gordon Brown in relation to this.
Right, yeah.
So when I've, like I said earlier, investigated these people, invariably Satanism and child abuse will come out in at least most of them. I mean, I've been naming a guy since 1998. He's dead now, but he was alive for a long, long time after I started naming him, called Ted Heath.
Yes.
Ted Heath was the Prime Minister of Britain from 70 to 74, and the man who signed us into the fly trap called the European Union, the EEC as it was then. And I was coming across child victims of him all those years ago, 1998 and before. And I named him in a book called The Biggest Secret. And when it came out, a journalist called him and said, this guy, Ike, is calling you a child killer and child abuser. And all he said was, I think Ike must be crazy, or Ike must be mad. And that was the end of it. Why? Because it was true. And in more recent times, I've come across other people who've given me even more detail about that guy. I've been naming Father George Bush since about 96 as a serial pedophile and child killer. I've talked on American radio about it. I've written it in book after book after book after book. I've got it on my website in an article called Pedophilia and Satanism, the Fabric of the Web. And that's what we have to do. We have to be sure of our facts, because we don't want to defame anybody. We don't want to say things about people that aren't true.
Sure.
Absolutely the last thing we need to do. I mean, the media is doing that all the time. Why should we be doing that? Yeah. You know, the opposite.
Right. That's right.
But when we're sure of our facts, we need to start speaking out here and naming these people without fear of the consequences. Because the consequences of not exposing these people are that more and more and more children are going to be abused, like Hollie Greig. They're going to be sacrificed. They're going to be tortured. They're going to go through the horrific treatment that they go through. And enough is enough. We're not having it anymore.
Yeah.
I've had a belly full of these people doing this to these kids all over the world. And we've got to get our backsides disconnected from the sofa and start running at this.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And by the way, for those who are not familiar with the Nebraska story, John DeCamp, the cover-up that you mentioned before, David, basically just go to Google Video or Google and type in Conspiracy of Silence, and you have the documentary right there. It's about an hour long. It's really good, and it details this story and this case in detail, as it were. But, David, I want to ask you a little bit about something that seems to be the discussion. If you read some of the comments on the show that we did then with Robert and Anne, and they say a little bit, alluding to just basically that these monsters who are doing these atrocities aren't human monsters. It goes beyond that. What do you think? What do you make of that, David?
100%. You know, depends what level of this we want to talk about at any point. You know, what we've been talking about up to this point in the program is the fact that there are pedophiles and Satanists who sacrifice and abuse children, right? But it goes much wider than that, because these people are possessed. The Satanism and the satanic rituals that they go through, and the secret society rituals too, although most Freemasons don't know it, are designed to create vibrational connections between the people involved and these demonic entities. I would say overwhelmingly to take a reptilian form, but not only. And the idea is for these demonic entities operating just outside of visible light to possess the pedophile, the Satanists, and take over their mental and emotional, what passes for their emotional processes. And what these demonic entities are is totally and utterly devoid of empathy. They do not have the power to empathize with the consequences for the others of their actions. We talk about cold-blooded. Well, reptiles are cold-blooded, and these people are cold-blooded. And so what they do, and what we're looking at overwhelmingly with these people, their hybrid bloodlines have been specifically bred to be much more genetically connected to the possessing entity, therefore vibrationally connected. And what these entities do is they feed off human energy, and they particularly want the energy of children before puberty, because there is an energetic and chemical change, quite obviously, that happens at puberty, and they want the energy before that happens. And this is why when you look at all these ancient accounts and ancient stories and legends, they talk about sacrificing young virgins to the gods. Now, these entities are perceived as the gods, these demonic entities, and the young virgin thing is actually just a symbol for children. That's what the young virgins were, and are children, because they want this prepubescent energy. So what happens is the if you like, and I hesitate to use the word because it's hardly appropriate, the human level of these people is stimulated to desire sex with children and to desire to harm children and get a big kick out of it. Ted Heath did. I mean, I wouldn't even begin to go into what this guy did, but all the others are the same. But he was a really extreme version of it. Anyway, what's happening is while the children are being abused, while the pedophile is having sex with them, and even I found this that even when it's girls, often it's anal sex that these people have with them. They are connecting into on the energetic level the base chakra, the base vortex of their human energy field. And what they're doing is the demonic entity is then through the conduit of the quote human level, they are sucking the life force, the prepubescent pure energy out of the child into themselves. They're vampiring the child's energy and fundamentally destabilizing them energetically and therefore mentally and emotionally. That's what's going on at a deeper level.
Do you think that it means that all people who are involved, if we specifically talk about the Hollie case again, have these non-human traits, or do you think that some people of these in these scenarios are human as well, but they just might be attracted to the, who knows, the power? There could even be drugs involved there, or who knows how the setting is, so to speak, there. But generally, do you think it's all non-human, or is it a potential mix, so to speak, here we're looking at?
Well, I think when you're dealing in all possibility, then it's never only one thing. It's never only this. It's never all that.
Yeah.
So you will have people who just get attracted to it for some reason. But the major players are these possessed people. And what do you need, Henrik, to abuse a child, to rape a Down syndrome girl like Hollie Greig, to rape little children and frighten them to death, to torture them and get a kick out of it? What do you need? You need an absolutely deleted ability to empathize. You have no power, connection to feel what you're doing to someone else. You're just completely and utterly cold. Now, this starts to explain other things, from a wider point of view. This is how it's possible for these people, like Blair and Bush, to send the boys in to pepper bomb Baghdad from the sky, to use depleted uranium in the weapons that create horrific birth defects that take the breath away when you see them in Iraq now, that lead to millions of people being either killed or maimed or having their lives destroyed forever in this life anyway. This is the mentality. These are the possessed people that are pepper bombing the Gaza Strip using phosphorus weapons that burn people alive. These are the people orchestrating 9